Imagine waking up one morning to find your bank account overflowing with millions, a fortune you never expected. Overnight, your life transforms from ordinary to extraordinary, but the real challenge begins. What do you do with all that wealth? For John Harper, a 38-year-old IT consultant from Ohio, this wasn't a dream, it was reality. In 2023, a forgotten cryptocurrency investment from a decade ago skyrocketed, leaving him with $50 million. Stunned, John faced a whirlwind of possibilities, temptations, and pitfalls. His journey, along with insights from financial experts and others who've navigated sudden wealth, reveals 20 practical, life-changing steps to make the most of a windfall while staying grounded. John's story began with disbelief. He checked his account 5 times, thinking it was a glitch. When the numbers held steady, panic set in. Sudden wealth, experts say, often triggers a mix of euphoria and fear. John's first instinct was to splurge. A sports car, a mansion, maybe a private jet. But he paused, recalling stories of lottery winners who went broke within years. Instead, he sought advice, and his choices over the next 2 years offer a roadmap for anyone who finds themselves rich overnight. Take a deep breath and stay quiet. John's first move was to tell no one except his spouse, Emily. Financial advisor Sarah Klein, who's worked with sudden millionaires, emphasizes this. The fewer people who know, the better. Wealth attracts opportunists. John avoided posting on social media or boasting to friends. This gave him time to process the windfall without pressure from others. Silence also protected him from scams, as sudden wealth makes you a target. Klein suggests waiting at least 6 months before sharing the news widely, if ever. Hire a financial advisor. Within days, John contacted a fiduciary financial advisor, someone legally obligated to act in his best interest. He chose Mark Reynolds, a certified financial planner with experience handling large windfalls. Mark helped John understand his new reality, from tax implications to investment options. A good advisor is your buffer against bad decisions, Mark says. John paid a flat fee for advice, avoiding advisors who earn commissions on products they sell. This step saved him from costly mistakes early on. Secure your money. John's millions were initially in a single account, vulnerable to hacks or bank failures. Mark advised spreading the funds across multiple FDIC-insured accounts, each capped at $250,000 for protection. John also moved some money into a high-yield savings account for liquidity and parked the rest in a brokerage account for long-term growth. Cybersecurity expert Rachel Torres recommends updating passwords and enabling 2-factor authentication on all financial accounts to deter hackers, a step John took immediately. Pay off high-interest debt. John had $15,000 in credit card debt and a $200,000 mortgage. He paid off the credit cards first, as their 18% interest rate was bleeding his wealth. The mortgage at 3.5% he kept, as Mark calculated that investing the money elsewhere could yield higher returns. Economist David Lee notes, eliminating high-interest debt is like earning a guaranteed return. John felt a weight lift, knowing he was free from crushing interest payments. Understand your taxes. Sudden wealth often comes with a tax bill. John's crypto gains were subject to capital gains tax, which could have eaten 20% of his fortune. He hired a CPA, Lisa Nguyen, who specialized in windfalls. Lisa ensured John paid quarterly estimated taxes to avoid penalties and explored tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs. Taxes can blindside you, Lisa warns. John's proactive approach saved him thousands in fines and optimized his tax strategy. Create an emergency fund. Mark advised John to set aside 6 months' worth of living expenses, about $30,000, in a liquid account. This fund covered unexpected costs like car repairs or medical bills, without dipping into investments. Financial planner Karen Soto says, an emergency fund is your safety net. John's fund gave him peace of mind, knowing he could handle life's surprises without derailing his plans. Avoid lifestyle inflation. John was tempted to buy a $2 million lakefront mansion, but Mark urged restraint. Lifestyle creep can bankrupt you, Mark cautioned. John and Emily decided to stay in their modest home, upgrading only their appliances and furniture. They set a monthly budget, even with millions in the bank. Behavioral economist Rachel Kim explains, spending to match your wealth feels natural but erodes your security. John's frugality preserved his fortune. Invest wisely. With Mark's guidance, John diversified his investments. 60% in low-cost index funds, 20% in bonds, 10% in real estate investment trusts, and 10% in alternative assets like gold. He avoided flashy schemes promising quick riches. Slow and steady builds lasting wealth, Mark says. John's portfolio grew steadily, outpacing inflation. Investment guru Michael Chan advises, don't chase trends, stick to proven strategies. Protect your wealth with insurance. John upgraded his insurance, home, auto and health, to match his new net worth. He also bought an umbrella policy, offering $5 million in liability coverage for lawsuits. Insurance expert Laura Adams says, wealth makes you a target for claims. John's policies shielded him when a minor car accident led to a frivolous lawsuit, which his insurer settled quickly. Give back thoughtfully. John wanted to help others but feared being overwhelmed by requests. He set up a donor-advised fund, contributing $500,000 to support local schools and food banks. Philanthropy advisor James Patel notes, structured giving lets you make an impact without chaos. John's fund allowed anonymous donations, preserving his privacy while supporting causes he cared about. Update your estate plan. John had no will, so he hired an estate attorney to draft one. He named Emily as executor and set up trusts for their 2 children, ensuring their financial security. Attorney Susan Grant says, without a plan, your wealth could be tied up in probate for years. John also designated beneficiaries for his accounts, streamlining asset distribution if something happened to him. Learn about money. John admitted he knew little about finance. He enrolled in an online personal finance course and read books like The Millionaire Next Door. Knowledge is power, says financial educator Brian Walsh. John's newfound literacy helped him ask better questions of his advisors and spot red flags in investment pitches. He became confident managing his wealth. Set long-term goals. John and Emily discussed their dreams, early retirement, travel, and funding their kids' education. They created a 10-year plan with Mark, aligning their investments to these goals. Life coach Andrea Miller says, wealth without purpose feels empty. John's goals gave him direction, turning his windfall into a tool for fulfillment. Surround yourself with trusted people. John distanced himself from friends who hinted at loans or handouts. He leaned on Emily, Mark, and a few close confidants. Psychologist Karen Lee warns, wealth can strain relationships. John's inner circle kept him grounded, offering honest advice without ulterior motives. Take time for yourself. The stress of sudden wealth left John anxious. He started therapy to process his emotions and joined a gym to stay healthy. Wellness expert Sarah Brooks says, wealth doesn't buy happiness if you're burned out. John's self-care routine, meditation, exercise, and weekly date nights with Emily helped him stay balanced. Explore new opportunities. With financial security, John considered career changes. He'd always wanted to start a tech company. He invested $100,000 in a prototype, working with a mentor to minimize risks. Entrepreneur David Kim advises, use wealth to pursue passions, but test the waters first. John's venture is still growing, but he enjoys the challenge. Travel smart. John and Emily took a dream trip to New Zealand, but they didn't blow millions. They booked business-class flights and stayed in nice hotels, sticking to a $20,000 budget. Travel expert Lisa Carter says, memorable trips don't require extravagance. John's frugal approach let him enjoy travel without draining his wealth. Protect your privacy. John's wealth attracted unwanted attention, cold calls, emails, even strangers at his door. He used a P.O. box for mail, registered assets under a trust, and kept his phone number private. Privacy consultant Rachel Evans says, "Anonymity is your shield." These steps reduced intrusions, letting John live normally. Give yourself permission to enjoy. John initially felt guilty spending on himself. Mark encouraged small splurges, like a $5,000 watch John had eyed for years. Enjoying wealth in moderation builds contentment, says psychologist Michael Lee. John's measured indulgences kept him from resenting his frugality. Stay grateful. John kept a gratitude journal, noting things like family, health, and his windfalls opportunities. Gratitude keeps wealth from defining you, says life coach Sarah Patel. John's practice reminded him that money was a tool, not his identity. 2 years later he's thriving, not just rich but fulfilled. John's journey shows that sudden wealth doesn't have to be a curse. By following these 20 steps, he turned a windfall into a foundation for a better life. His story isn't unique. Others have walked this path, from lottery winners to startup founders. The key is intentionality. Wealth amplifies choices, but only thoughtful ones lead to lasting success. For anyone facing a sudden fortune, John's experience offers a blueprint. Pause, plan, and proceed with purpose.